Hello and welcome to Impact Podcast. This is your host Christian, along with my co-host Darren and Amani. We're happy that you tuned in for another episode. Before we get started, I want you to like, tag, subscribe to this channel, turn on post notifications so you don't miss any videos, and yeah, comment and make a comment in this video and be like, "Hey, Impact Podcast," and just say, "Hey, we'll try to get back with you on that if we can." Also, you can before we get started, you can follow us on Instagram at Christian Kennedy. You can follow her underscore Money and Naraya.tv. And yeah, we'll appreciate that. Or Impact Podcast Show. Impact Podcast Show, that's going to be our Instagram page. Well, not going to be, it's already our Instagram page. So yeah, thank y'all for doing all that. As you know, we are in this season of Survivor seasons. We've missed a couple weeks because a lot's been going on. We've had snowstorms that didn't really hit here in Georgia, and then we had something else to pop up where we couldn't be on the show, and then before that, um, something else popped up. I think I wasn't feeling well or something like that. But we're finally back. We're finally back together, and we're back here to inspire some more people and to talk about more things as far as Survivor, because we're in the Survivor series. Many people are in a battle or in a season of their life where they feel like they don't see an end. They don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. They feel like they're being consumed and surrounded, but you can get through it. I don't care what the circumstances is. It could be relationship issues. It could be um, financial issues, and you just don't know where you're going to get out of it. But just know that God has His hands on you, and that's why this episode is talking about surviving the breaking point, because many of us have been to the point where we're so close to the breaking point if we are not at that breaking point already. So, y'all have anything to say before we get started?
No.
Okay, so question one, it says, what was a season in your life where you honestly didn't think you'd make it through, and why?
I'll go first. Um, I would say I already shared this before, but my student teaching experience was my last year in college for my undergrad, and I was placed at a school that was really challenging, and I thought that I was not gonna make it out. Um, yeah, the school I was at wasn't like a school where I can really succeed, and the people that were kind of there that were supposed to be helping me were just like, hey, like, we'll just give you, like, just copy what we do. They weren't telling me, like, hey, come up with your own things, let me give you feedback. They were like, just whenever your professor comes to observe you, just copy us. And we were like, well, not we, but I was like, oh my goodness, that's not gonna work. So, right when I thought I was like, I'm gonna fail for sure, I get a phone call, and another teacher from a different school was like, hey, I wanted to be the one to tell you. I talked to your professors, and you're gonna come back to my school. And at their school, his school, he was really helping me to get to where I needed to be and everything. So I was like, wow, Lord, you were really working behind the scenes, and I had no idea. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. That's good. I say for me, if I had to think a time that I had to survive, I would say there was a point in time where, like, the pandemic. Pandemic. I'm the type of person where I used to be in my head a lot about just worrying and being in a point where I was always scared to die or whatever. And I got so scared that I was just like in my room, just worried all the time like that. But I realized through that, God really used that season so I can overcome that fear, overcome those things. Because you just got to realize in life, many people, I was just talking in a group chat where it's a Bible study group chat, and we are talking about different fears and how we should overcome different things. And a lot of people in that group chat was saying that they were afraid of death. And I think everyone that's living is somewhat afraid of that. And it's not always to say that, you know, you won't be, but it's just you got to really have more faith in God, because He has his hand on your life. He has your time. He has all these type of things. If you get so concerned for what happened for tomorrow, you can't enjoy the present. You can't enjoy what's right now. And a lot of times that goes back to control issues. Many people, like we was talking about in Bible study, they want so much control over their life, control over what happens tomorrow, today, but we don't have anything. That's why they call the present, because it's a gift. And you just got to let go of that control. So I think through that process, I was surviving self. I was surviving things of myself. It's not really something that someone else was bringing over me, but it was more so things that I had to debunk so I could be a better me, be a better person to give someone else some advice and to encourage others that's going through those things. You don't always have to worry about the things that's out of your control. If it might come up as far as fear of getting into a relationship. It might be a fear of building a better relationship with your families, or doing well on a job, because ultimately, if you have control issues, it all comes back to the similarity with that thing. So I thought that in that season of time, I couldn't overcome those certain fears, but ultimately, I have, and I can testify about that. And it's something many people struggle with, and they don't say anything. The control and the fear of what's going to happen next, what's going to happen to other people around you. But you just got to let that go and pray. That's why prayer is so important, and that's how you can overcome those things.
That's good.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I had that feeling for like a long time. And I'm not saying I'm there, but because like you said, everybody got some type of fear of death, because you really don't know where you're going. Like, I'll say it again and again. I hate it. I ain't gonna say hate, but it annoys me when people say like, I'm good, like I got it, I'm gonna make it. Like, I mean, it's good to have faith, but you really don't know. You know what I'm saying? So I would never get to a point where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm good. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm ready. Like, nah, bro, I'm not ready. I'm praying that God take his time and let me like really build up, because everybody know. I mean, we don't know, because we could look and be like, oh, Christian is always such a role model, you know what I'm saying? But in your mind, you know what you struggle with.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But recently, I'd say the season where I thought I would never come out. Like, I went through a season, like I said, where I would never feel like God was answering me, you know? So I felt so far away from God, like, to be honest. And so I would get to that point where it was kind of like, I still believe, of course, I believed in them and I still prayed and everything. But like you said, it was like this fear over me, like almost like a what did I do type of thing. Like, yeah, like what did I do? Like maybe I did something that I didn't know. Maybe I blasphemed or something. And like, you know what I'm saying? So maybe that's why he just like got done with me or something, you know? So, but I would keep pushing through. And then finally, like, but he would, you know, speak or show me things or answer a prayer like every once in a while, just to kind of remind me, like, oh, I would be so happy. Like, just to remind me, yeah, I did hear you. And then I would be cool, and then it would go back away. And I'm thinking, like what am I doing wrong? But these days, thank God, because I really don't want him to take it away. I always beg him, like. But what I learned, though, is that he will let you feel like he's far away. Because if you always feel like God is there, then you really don't have no reason to have faith. You feel what I'm saying? It's more of a way of him, like, what do you need faith for if you just know when I pray, it's immediately going to happen, like he going to answer me. Like, what are you praying and fasting for? You don't have to fast because you know he answering me tomorrow or whatever the case is. But I'd say, like, he's been answering me more frequently. But then I will sometimes get to a point, but I feel like it's kind of all in my head, like you were saying. Like, I got to a point basically where I know he's there. I know he hears all things. He never sleep or slumber. So that kind of gave me peace. But yeah, I didn't think I was going to get through that. I thought that's just the way. And like you said, that made it even more scary to die, because I'm like, wait a minute. Like, you know what I'm saying? So But thank God for that.
I agree. That's the next.
Yeah, sure. Okay, what did survival look like for you in that moment? In were you fighting? Hold on. I'm sorry. Hold on. Okay, what did survival look like for you in that moment? That's the question.
You summed it up.
Yeah, because I was kind of.
No, you good.
Yeah, I would say what survival looked for me in that moment. In that moment is identifying what the root was. A lot of people, in order to survive, you have to identify what you're surviving. You know what I'm saying? It might show up as one thing. This is what the enemy does. He'll say, let's say this. What's an issue people have? Let's say that somebody struggles with lust. You know what I'm saying? Okay, that's the big thing that the enemy's using. However, it's something within it as to why you keep running to it. You know what I'm saying? Let's say that ultimately the issue why you keep falling into that is because you have insecurities about your appearance. So every time you take part in activities, it helps you feel a certain type of way. You know what I'm saying? Or let's say someone has an issue as far as picking on others, bullying. Maybe it's not bullying. Maybe they're not naturally a bully. Maybe they got abused growing up to somehow. And people think abuse is just physical. Abuse is not just physical. Abuse is a mental, the verbal abuse. You got emotional abuse. You got lack of emotional, like they're not emotional at all. A lot of people, they'll say, okay, somebody was overly emotional. Some people, they cause you to have that emotion. Then some people was so much they didn't care about you, and you had to survive all by yourself and stuff like that. They was not available. So the biggest reason as to why, going back to how you can survive, how I use things to survive, even the things I discussed earlier in this episode, is you have to find the root cause of that. I went and joined a program. It was basically like some type of counseling. And it was like, in order to find yourself, to get over some things that you have personally, you have to go into the deep-seated thing that you put in the basement that about yourself. Not exactly the sin or all those things, even though you know those things. Those are the things that you know within your personal house. But you have to go into that basement that you even tried to forget about, like just how you feel about yourself, something that nobody did to you or you did to anyone else. It's a mindset you have inside your mind that you believe about yourself that was given to you by the enemy. The enemy, that's how he works. It's not always by what somebody else says, because Darren can say all these things about me. He could be like, Christian, you don't have no money. Christian, you do this, you're fat, you do all this type of stuff. Even though all of that might not exactly be true, but it's what I accept to my heart as true. You can say a whole bunch of things or whatever, but it's whatever you accept and you make something in your heart as a man thinketh he is. So even if nobody says that about you, if you feel that about yourself, or if it's a problem that you have on the inside, you have to identify what that is, because a lot of times people will bury it, and then it won't come out and manifest itself until, let's say, you get into a relationship or you get into a good friendship. It won't manifest itself until someone peels back those layers, and that insecurity or that vulnerability is exposed. You know what I'm saying? Many times people don't see that, and that's why a lot of good relationships fail. That's why a lot of good families fall apart, is because when you got to really be intelligent in that aspect of things, and that's why spirituality of knowing God and abiding by the Bible is very vital when it comes to surviving these things, because when you get to a point, we talk about emotional availability, when you get to the point of when someone hits you in a certain way unknowingly and you emotionally react, you can ruin something. You know what I'm saying? You can ruin a long-term relationship which you had with your parents because of something that you felt about yourself, and then you internalized it, and it manifested itself in a situation. So through that process, I would say that's how I overcame it, by taking accountability and finding what the root cause to why these things was manifesting within myself.
Yeah, so survival to me, I'll go back to what I was saying, earlier. For me, it looked like to keep praying basically because, um, like I said, I made it up in my mind that I know God hears us, or at least I know He hears me, and whether we make our bed in hell, it says that He will be there. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I'm just not gonna give up because, like, where else am I gonna go? You know what I'm saying? It's not like I can just be like, oh well, I tried. Like, nah, bro, nah, we're gonna sit here. Like, if you don't ever answer me, at least I'm gonna still pray. Like, cause I mean, where else am I gonna turn to? And cause I had almost got to a point where it was like, it's kind of good though, bro. I had this overwhelming fear of hell from a young age. And that thing stopped me from doing a lot of stuff, for real. Like, seriously. So I thank God for that. But then, like you said, it can get to a point where you just don't, like, you so scared that you kind of like frozen almost. But I took it as, it's not like a fear like how can I put it? It's not so much of a fear that I don't know who to go to. Like, I'm not scared to come to God. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just, like, I'm so scared that I can't approach God. He's unapproachable. Like, it's not like that. Like, I know it's out of love. And I know that hell is for those who reject Him. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that was my way of pushing through, is by keep praying.
That was good. Y'all had some really good responses. I like what you were saying, because basically you said, like, identifying a trigger, or like, what is it that sets me off, or what is the root of it. And I think another thing you said that was cool was like counseling, because I think in those moments when you're trying to survive, it's hard, and we can get into what we talked about in the past, isolation. The enemy will try to tell you, like, I'm already in my head, because I've experienced it too. I'm already in my head thinking X, Y, and Z. And then the enemy be like, yeah, you can't tell nobody because you got to put on this, you got to act strong or whatever the case. So having other people to help keep you accountable is really important. And that's something that I learned. And then when you said keep praying, that's also important because that's a line of communication to the Lord. I think for me personally, it's both of those, and just overall keep the foundations. So, like, that's not the time that I went and was like, oh, guess I'm gonna stop going to church now, or let me change churches really quick and just leave, or let me not talk to those that are Christians in my life. That's not the time to stop that. Or serving, avoiding. So, and that's another form of isolation, I feel like, too. So instead of doing that, I was like, you know what, Lord? All of this is terrible that I'm experiencing, but I still know you're there. Like, I'm not hearing from you as much unless I'm hearing the word on Sunday. Like, I'm not, during my prayer time, I don't feel you as much as I used to, but I know you're there, and I know you want me to go through this. So that's what kept me, really. And then out of nowhere, he was just like, boom. When Pastor was talking about being still, standing still, like in Exodus, that is true. Like, if you just stand still and you can't fight, that's really the best position to be in. It feels terrible, but that means God is setting you up for something big. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with everything y'all said, and I think those are two legitimate things as far as advice given to others. But I'm going to ask one more question before we get out of here. And it's, looking back now, what do you see that God was doing in you while you were trying to survive?
Yes. So basically, what He showed me is that I can absolutely not lean on anyone but Him. Like, He put me in that position. Like, I mean, you have friends, you have family. You can vent, but at the end of the day, they can't do nothing to take you out of what you're in. You know what I'm saying? So I've learned, like, and I'm not saying y'all do this, but I didn't go through no counseling, very little, um, like so much venting because I kind of always felt that they don't understand. So that's never been kind of my thing. You know what I mean? Cause and then me too. Sometimes I can like have a hard time explaining how I'm feeling, if that makes sense. So, but God, I don't have to like even say a complete sentence, and He knows what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying? So, like I always kind of had that in me, like. But anyways, that's what He showed me though, for real, like to completely depend on Him, completely.
I feel like similar. Like I'm the one. Like I feel like He was saying, when I'm done with this, and when this is done, you're gonna give me the glory. Like like literally, when I was going through it, I was like, okay, Lord, you're gonna bring me out, but when you do, I can't say it was anybody else. Even though I was getting counseling, even though they were directing me, at the end of the day, I had to still like be the one to trust Him. So it felt lonely and it felt like whatever, but it wasn't a loneliness to where it's like, oh, like like God's there. So I don't know. That's ultimately what it was. It's just He was just like, I'm gonna get the glory out of this. Yeah, so that's it.
100% agree with, and I'm gonna basically say basically the same thing. It all goes back to God and leaning on Him, and knowing that hey, you can't rely on somebody else to pick up your pieces, but at the same time you can't just isolate like you were saying in the last one, and rely on yourself. But that's why you gotta lean on God, and He will put you back where you're supposed to be. And as we're still here talking and everything like that, a lot of people watching this, or a lot of people here in this country, in this world, are to their breaking point. And I just want to encourage you all that from someone else, from someone that's went through things, and we've all went through things, we can't tell you, or we can't, as much as we say, oh, it's going to be all right, we did this and you're going to be okay. That doesn't help. You know what I'm saying? By someone saying we understand you doesn't always help. But you have to, what I'm telling you is this, that even when you feel like you're at your breaking point, you can't take nothing more. You feel like ending it all. You feel like there's nothing to live for. You do have something to live for. God has a breath in your body for a reason. The heart is still beating for a reason. You have purpose, and God is still going to come through for you. I don't care what the situation might look like. I don't care what the circumstance might look like. Just know that God, He has a plan for your life, and you might not see it now, but it's all gonna make sense when time comes around. If it might be financial, you might be from job to job. You don't understand. You'll have stability. God has you. He's showing you something. When life gets rocky, listen and be steady. As we even look at in the Bible, when the storm was out, Jesus was asleep, but everybody else is panicking. Now, I know in life, we're all not Jesus. So, a lot of us, when life gets shaky and we get through the storm, we're going to be panicking. But let's change that panic to pray. So when things go wrong and you panic, pray. And seek God, because I can't make anybody's situation better. And unless I'm rich, and then your problem is finances, then I can make it better. But for the most part, even when someone, let's say this, a lot of people, I'm gonna use an example. They'll go to the professional football. They'll play pro football and make millions of dollars, or they'll be a boxer, make millions of dollars, and then they retire. 10 years later, boom, they're just like everybody else. That means that even if finances might not be your problem, don't mean that, it's always going to be there for you. You're always in life. It's always going to be something. If it's health, if it's money, if it's relationships, if it's self doubt, those inner fears. You know what it is. You know yourself. And even if you don't know who you are, and you're like, I don't know what to live for because I don't even know my own purpose. God has a purpose. He has a plan. You need to find yourself at a church. You need to find yourself a community. And you don't need to isolate. You don't need to feel like it's time to give up. And I really feel like in this point in time, so many people are at their breaking point, and it's nothing to play about because life is so precious, and God has given you that gift every day you wake up. So just continue to keep on keeping on, and when you feel like you're about to break, you're not broken. You're not broken. So just keep on fighting, and God got you. But thank y'all for tuning in to Impact Podcast. I hope that y'all enjoyed the show. Please like, tag, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications, follow me at Christian Kennedy on Instagram, _Monty, Nariah.tv, Impact Podcast Show, and Rockstone Church. We will love those follows. And make sure you actually comment on this video. Comment what you liked about the episode. Comment some ideas you want for us to do, and we'll try to get over to it. We have some great things in store for y'all this season, and we have some more guests that's going to come on the show to talk about many different things, many different walks of life, and many different perspectives. And I'm excited about it. I'm not sure about y'all, but I'm very excited about it. Thank y'all, and we have some great things in store. Y'all have a great one.